The thing about for me is that I knew I like to drink. I am a 100% type of person. I am not, I can't go halfway. Like for me, it's all or nothing. So I enjoyed it. That was just how my friends knew. And I was the guy that would go out and party and hang out all night, but I still got up at 7 o'clock in the morning, worked out, went to the office. So for me, alcohol had never caused a major problem because I still saw success in my sales career. And I would even say that potentially it was because I was drinking and was the fun guy was part of the reason I was successful in sales. So I never thought that not drinking, to Janet's point earlier, I couldn't contemplate that as being a possibility for me. What happened though, and once again, it's funny how life works out, rather fortuitous. I decided to leave my job to kind of start my own company. My own is in sales, a staffing agency, and man, it was hard. It was so hard that I just was like, am I going to have to go back to my old company? I don't know if I can do it. And then it got to the point that I was looking at everything I was doing to be successful. If you see there, 97% of the people who quit work for the 3% who never give up. I was thinking, all right, have I really done everything to not give up? And I've always even through, I was 37, 38 around the time that this was going on over through those years, I had something in the back of my mind saying, is drinking really serving you? Like, could you not do so much better if you stop drinking, if you cut back on drinking? That Janet said, I tried the moderation thing, that doesn't work. And so I said, you know what? I may go back to my former company, but I don't want to fail at my business before I can say I gave it 1,000%. And for me, I couldn't unequivocally say I did. I gave it 1,000% if I knew I had this thing that was hindering me and wasn't allowing me to be as successful as possible. So I decided November of 2018, my wife, same day, I just woke up. We woke up, we went out with one of our best couples for dinner. And then that morning, I said, hey, honey, I think I'm just going to stop drinking for a little while and just see if it helps me with business. So did it for 30 days. All of a sudden, business started picking up. Then I did it for 60 days, 90 days. I made more money in the next 90. And so this happened in November. I made more money in those next 90 days that I made the entire previous year. So I was like, holy smoke, like there's something to this. So if nothing else, if you make money, that's an impetus to kind of keep this going. So we kept it going. And fortunately, my wife did it with me. And we just saw so many just positive results from it. Now, where ANF came from and what for me kind of explains the reason I wrote the article and what the whole purpose of ANF is that shortly after I decided in that November that I was going to give up drinking and cut off, my wife and I were taking a trip to Dublin, Ireland. So 8 hour and a half flight from Atlanta, Georgia. It's a lot of time on a plane. So I said, I got to read something, right? So I decided to read Annie Grace's This Naked Mind. So if you haven't read that book, you got to read it. See, Lucy's read it. I mean, that book changed my life. And the reason is, and this is why I started ANF, because for me, I started drinking when I was 19. College kid, like every college kid was. You have a good time. I pledged a fraternity. I was just living my life, right? I always thought drinking would be an issue if you overindulge, if you did too much of it, if you allowed it to take over your life. But as long as you don't allow it to stop you from doing things, I woke up at 7 o'clock in the morning. I was successful at my job. I didn't think it was a problem. I thought it was okay because I was managing. What Annie helped me understand through the science of how she broke down what alcohol does to you is that there are some people, I agree, that are more predisposed to become an alcoholic than others. However, I will argue that anybody over a certain amount of time, if you continue to drink and you do not monitor yourself and you're not, and I like to call it, instead of saying sober, I say it's alcohol conscious, because you need to be conscious of how much you're drinking and what it's doing to you. And a lot of people, and I was one of them, didn't think about it. If you don't do that, you will become an alcoholic. It happens faster for some than others, but you will. And the way I explain that is through the article that Janet was talking about. And it's the science of why people, the science of what alcohol does to you. And I call it from like to want to must, right? And the way I explain it is very simple. So whenever you drink, just to kind of break it down, and for those who may have not heard it, and this is just so, it just opened up my eyes because it made me understand, like, either I stop drinking or this is going to happen to me. Whenever you drink, your body, when we know this, creates endorphins, right? That's why we feel good when we drink. That's why people love it. That's why drinking is the party starter, right? Because it makes you feel good. That's why a lot of people, and I was one of them, didn't understand why was alcohol considered a depressant when every time I drank, I felt good. So I don't, it didn't make me depressed, but there's more reasons around how it slows down your motor skills and what happens to you afterwards. But it releases endorphins. So you get the endorphins released and you feel good. Now, this is what I didn't know, right? And most of us have experienced this. You have that first beer or glass of wine, you feel really good. Maybe about an hour in or 90 minutes in, you all of a sudden don't feel as good. And you're like, all right, I need a second bottle or a second glass of wine. Like, well, why is that? Scientifically, the reason that happens is because whenever you drink alcohol, your body has an endorphin spike that is artificial. So your body, we all know, it creates endorphins just naturally because whenever you do something that makes you feel good, eat your favorite food, hug a loved one, watch your favorite show, your body creates endorphins because it naturally is enjoying that thing. What alcohol does is that it artificially creates that inside of you, and it creates it at such a clip and it's so strong, which is why we want to do it, that your body is like, holy schmoly, what is going on? Like, it kind of freaks out a little bit because it's so above your normal level that your body's thinking, all right, why is this happening? This feels like something might be happening. This is usually fight or flight response. If our receptors are up, and this is such a spike that it wants to get to homeostasis. Like, that's the reason Darwinism, why we've been able to survive as a species, is because of homeostasis. There's always a battle for us to get to baseline, and our bodies adapts and changes based on that. So when you drink alcohol, an outside entity, foreign chemical put in your body, it gives it an artificial spike. Therefore, your body naturally creates something called a dynorphin. And what this dynorphin does is it counterbalances that endorphin to try to get you to homeostasis. So therefore, you drink that first bottle of wine, a bottle of beer, glass of wine, you start to feel great. The dynorphins kick in, you come down. When they say you're killing my buzz, right? Or that's part of it. You're coming down, so you get another one, right? So then when you get another beer, boom, you're popped back up and you're feeling good again. But guess what? The endorphins are coming right back and it's cycling. And then you take another beer, the endorphins come in, kick in, and it becomes a cycle over time. Over time, the cycle, you're drinking beer, the endorphins are trying to counteract, balance it. You're drinking more, try to counterbalance it. So you go to sleep, you stop drinking, let's say 2 o'clock in the morning, or let's say midnight. But the endorphins are still there. You're not drinking anymore, but the endorphins are still in your body, and the still is trying to counterbalance it because it doesn't know you're not drinking anymore. And that's part of the reason for some people, you get that 3 o'clock wake up, and some people feel depressed because your endorphins are trying to counterbalance what they think is the endorphin and artificial endorphins that were created with your drinking, right? And it's just, it happens. So here's where, so that's the like, so you're liking it, you drink. That's the natural flow of it. Here's where it gets scary. So what happens is your body gets used to patterns, as with anything, right? Gets used to the patterns that you're doing over time. So let's say every day you say, I worked hard, busted my tail today. I'm going to grab a beer at 5 o'clock, 5:30 every day, right? Every day. So you drink every day at 5 o'clock, 5:30, get a glass of wine, a bottle of beer, boom, endorphins, artificial spike comes. That endorphins recognize, once again, they pop in and say, all right, we got to get them back to homeostasis. We got to get them back to homeostasis. You got to get them back to homeostasis. Extrapolate that over weeks, months, years. What your body does, and part of the reason once again, we've survived as a species, is your body then knows that you're going to do that at 5 o'clock. So just like the Pavlovian dog, in the sense of, hey, food, bail, saliva, food, bail, saliva, food, bail, saliva. Eventually you can remove the food, bail, saliva. So what that means is that instead of your body associating the alcohol to create the endorphins, if you do it on a consistent basis at that same time, your body begins to associate the time of day with that endorphin creation. So you may not even drink at 5 o'clock, and all of a sudden you'll feel like you want to drink. You'll feel a little down for some reason. And it's because your body is so used to you doing that pattern that it's preempting you drinking at that time. And it's creating the endorphins before you actually drink the alcohol to have the need for it. So what then occurs is you liked it before and you drank because you wanted to. Now, when your body in such a pattern is so used to it that it's creating the endorphins ahead of time. And if you don't drink at that time, you will find yourself feeling depressed. That's why there are even doctors today we all know that alcohol exacerbates depression, but many doctors are theorizing that it actually creates depression because of this cycle and what it does. And it creates your body's flow of creating more endorphins than you need. So then it becomes from a like to a want, because then you're like, I don't even feel right without drinking a beer. I know I experienced it on Friday and Saturdays. My body was so used to drinking that if I didn't drink on Friday and Saturdays, it kind of felt weird. It kind of felt like I had to, that's where cravings come from. So you feel like you need to do it. So now you're getting the want, like you want to drink because, hey, if I don't drink, it doesn't feel right. Something's off. And this is where it really got scary for me and where it really becomes something that can be a debilitating cycle. Over time, if you continue to feed that monster and you say, I want to drink and I know the endorphins are created, I'm going to continue to drink. As with anything that you create in your body artificially, anything so your endorphin creation comes from alcohol. It's not natural, right? This outside chemical is doing it. Anything that you use over time to create something that your body naturally can do, eventually your body will lose its ability to do it on its own. That's why they tell people, if you don't need Viagra, don't take Viagra, because you will eventually need Viagra if you don't need it, right? So this is what happens when it comes to alcohol, because what I mean by that is that when you're using alcohol too, and this is why people get depressed and they associate alcohol with depression, because your endorphins were being created by alcohol, you won't have the ability to create it on its own. So before, your favorite food used to make you feel good. Hugging your loved ones may make you feel good. Watching a show may make you feel good. It doesn't have the same effect anymore because your body is so used to it being artificially created that now it needs that alcohol to even get to that. And that's why for a lot of people over time, they just cease to care about anything else, because there really isn't anything else that makes them happy. They have so re-engineered their body by the consistent consumption of alcohol that now it went from a like to a want to they must have it just to even reach homeostasis, not just to even feel decent, because over time your body will stay baseline low and then you would need to drink to get high. And so that to get baseline. And that is the thing for me, when I read that from Annie Grace and I kind of learned the whole science behind it, that was enough for me. And I remember being on the plane and I told my wife, Lena, I said, you know what? I said I wasn't going to drink for a little while, but I don't think I'm ever going to drink again. It's just too scary because I'm an all or nothing person. I know that I'm predisposed in some way to be addicted to anything. And the way the science is set up, alcohol is created to make you addicted to it. The people that can drink and aren't addicted, they amaze me, because if you think about what alcohol really does to your body, it's way easier to be addicted than it is to not to. And so that's why I wrote Anna, because I really just want to get that word out there to more people, because I didn't know it. I think so many of us just feel like, oh, well, as long as I don't drink too much, I'll be fine. No, yeah, that is true. But at the same time, alcohol is playing with a stacked deck. And it's really hard to win that game when put yourself in a position where, he's holding or she's holding all the cards. So I just want to kind of get that word out there to make sure people are educated and know. And like I said, I just want people to be alcohol conscious. If you want to drink, drink. But I want to make sure you have all the information on what alcohol does to you so you can make that educated decision of, this is what I want to do with my life.